Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, it takes us into the second half of September. And I'll bring you up to date with all of the latest developments in the tropics. Going to start off with the tropical Pacific. Then we'll see what's happening in the tropical Atlantic, particularly in relation to Florence. So, just say that the first video today was the week ahead forecast. You can find that video on the weather forecast week ahead page as a written version. Goes with it as well. Going to be quite a changeable week coming up, particularly on Saturday in the north. The south, though, gets a lot of dry conditions of time. It will be very warm across southern parts of the country, but alternating temperatures really sum it up for the weekend. So have a look at that and see what you think. Tomorrow we've got the second winter 2018-19 update. I'll talk about that at the end of the video. So we're going to begin by having a look at the eastern tropical Pacific. So I haven't looked at this for a little while. All the attention being on the Atlantic, of course, being the ocean that's closest to us. But I thought I'd bring you up to date with what's happening in the Pacific. So I've had a very active tropical storm hurricane season in this part of the Pacific Ocean. It still goes on. We've got this red coloured X just here. That's a development area. So what the National Hurricane Centre says about that is that we've got showers and thunderstorms associated with a low pressure system located around 600 miles south-southwest of the southern tip of Baja California Peninsula. And it continues to show signs of organisation, and it appears that a tropical depression could be forming. If this trend continues, then advisories would be initiated on this system later today. The low is expected to move northwestward at around 10 miles an hour during the next couple of days, moving away from the coast of Mexico. There's a 100% chance of this forming a cyclone in the next 48 hours, so things are going to be happening with that one. And then, of course, we've got this area just here. That is a tropical storm. That is Olivia. So let's see what Olivia is going to be doing. So let's just click that. And it'll take us to there. So Olivia at the moment is starting off just there as a tropical storm, forecasting it to strengthen to hurricane status through the course of today. Going to be reaching hurricane status there. And I think it's already a hurricane, actually. Let's just go back and have a look at that, because I think that is it's Category 1. Say a Hurricane Olivia Category 1 means it's got sustained winds of 90 miles an hour. So it is already at hurricane status. It's forecast to remain at hurricane status through to the early part of next week, where it goes down to a tropical storm. As it hits Hawaii. So this looks like it'll be a direct hit on the Hawaiian Islands as a tropical storm, Olivia. Right, let's go through to the Atlantic then, because look at all this, what's going on in the Atlantic Ocean right now. It's a very quiet start to the Atlantic tropical storm and hurricane season, but my word, things have really ramped up now. So we've got this yellow X just here. That's just an area of thunderstorms in the northern part of the tropical Atlantic Ocean. Let's see what National Hurricane Centre is saying about that. So it only has a 10% chance, actually, of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. A trough of low pressure generated disorganised showers over the western Atlantic near Bermuda. Development of this system, if any, should be slow to occur before environmental conditions become unfavourable in a couple of days. So for the next 48 hours, it's got just a 10% chance of becoming a tropical storm, and in the next 5 days, it also has only a low 10% chance of becoming a tropical storm. So I think we can pretty much discount that one. Doesn't look like it's going to be doing very much, but otherwise, we have a lot going on. So we've got a new named tropical storm. I think this is Helene. Helene is off the coast of Africa. Actually, this one, 9, which is a tropical depression 9, formed before Helene. Helene only formed a couple of days ago as thunderstorms on the African coast, but already this is up to a tropical storm. So it has sustained winds of 45 miles an hour with a central pressure of 1001 millibars. So let's just see what they're saying about Helene. And the track of Helene is to sort of move in that kind of direction, heading up into the middle of the tropical Atlantic Ocean over the next few days. So it's going to be a hurricane by the look of it through to middle part of next week, heading into middle part of the tropical Atlantic. Probably not hitting any particular land masses, but a big storm there in the form of Helene. Then we have also got 9, so that is Tropical Depression 9 just there. At the moment, it's got sustained winds of 35 miles an hour with a central pressure with this tropical depression of 1,007 millibars. Now, the track of this one is heading towards the Caribbean. So very shortly, this should be our next named tropical storm. Through the course of the day, it is forecast to go up to tropical storm status. So I think that's going to be Isaac. I think this will be Tropical Storm Isaac at some point today. And Isaac is being forecast by the National Hurricane Center to head towards the Caribbean as we go through into the middle of the week. So this is kind of like the position just heading into the far sort of eastern part of the Caribbean by the middle part of the week, and of course bearing down on all of these sort of Caribbean islands. We'll have to watch out what's going to happen with Isaac then. So look out, Caribbean. Looks like you're heading for some sort of storm or hurricane through the middle and latter stages of the coming week. And then finally, of course, we've got Florence. We've talked about Florence a lot over recent days. At the moment, Florence is a tropical storm. It has been a Category 4 hurricane, a major Category 4 hurricane. It's down to a tropical storm now, but it is forecast to go back up to hurricane status later on. That's the correct one for Florence. So this is where Florence is currently residing as a tropical storm just there. By tomorrow, it looks like Florence will be back up to a Category 1 hurricane, and then by the time you get through to the early part of the coming week, up to major hurricane status. A major hurricane is Category 3 or above. And look at this. It does look like it's going to hit Bermuda, but it is getting ever closer now, this, to the east coast of America. This, of course, being the east coast of the United States just here. By the time you get through to Thursday, it's a major hurricane. Not sure if it's above Category 3, but a major hurricane is anything from Category 3 to Category 5. Obviously, it's a whale, so we'll need to see how strong this is by the end of the week, but it is bearing down very much on this southeastern coast of America. So we've got Georgia just here, the state of Georgia just there, South Carolina just there, North Carolina is that state, Virginia is that state, and West Virginia is that state. It looks like it's heading for a direct hit there on the Carolinas by the time you get through to the end of the coming week as a major hurricane. So worrying times for the east coast of America with Florence. Let's have a look at the midnight run of the GFS. This is how things are looking on Wednesday. Not much sign of Florence then, but by the time you get through to Thursday, there is major Hurricane Florence in the Atlantic Ocean, menacing that east coast of the United States. And by the time you get through to Friday, Florence is moving in to the Carolinas, moving in to South and North Carolina as a direct hit on those states. By Saturday, moving in further inland and heading up towards the states of Virginia and beginning to weaken a little bit then. Perhaps that's a midnight run of the GFS. I can show you the 6 o'clock run of the GFS, what that was doing. So again, that is the position of Florence just there. In the middle of the week, Florence is in the Atlantic heading towards that east coast of America. Let's run through and see what happens. So this GFS run kind of stalls Florence just off the eastern seaboard. So that's a situation by the time you get through to the end of the coming week. Florence is just off that east coast. It's a major storm. It is a major hurricane. Its centre is just off the eastern seaboard, not moving quite as far inland as the midnight run of the GFS did, but even so, for those eastern seaboard states, it is a major weather event that is occurring there. And then, quite bizarrely, the 6 o'clock run of the GFS just keeps that storm sitting there off the coast of America, off the east coast of America, just sits there for several days, doesn't really do a great deal, but on the coast itself it would be pretty severe, but it doesn't move it inland, it keeps it offshore as a major hurricane. And then eventually it pushes it northwards up towards Newfoundland. There it goes, heading up the east coast up to Newfoundland in Canada. Gets caught up in the jet stream around there. It's a job to make it out now as it's right on the very far right-hand corner of the chart. But at this point, off the coast of Newfoundland, it's getting caught up in the jet stream. This has gone through to the 22nd of September now. And then it carries it off up towards Greenland and it's out of the way. So that's how the two GFS runs are differing with Florence. This is the ECMWF. Again, not much sign of Florence on Wednesday, but as we get through to Thursday, there is Florence heading towards that eastern coast of America as a major hurricane. And then, yes, ECMWF is producing a direct hit on the Carolinas, again, in particular, with Hurricane Florence at the end of the week. That's Friday, 14th of September. Direct hit on South Carolina there. And then moving up to North Carolina on Saturday in a week's time as a weakening depression, but still, of course, producing copious amounts of rain and pretty severe winds as well. So that's a severe hit with the ECMWF, and the midnight run of the GFS had a big hit from Florence. The 6 o'clock run of the GFS just kept it off the east coast, but these are worrying times, I would have thought, for anybody living in that southeastern part of America. It looks like Florida at the moment. It looks like Florida is going to be okay with this. It's further north, probably into the Carolinas, that we've got to be watching out. Right, so coming back closer to home, we'll have a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which I'll look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet. Is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure have been moved around by jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates low pressure, yellow, orange and red extrapolates to high pressure. These are from Penn State University. They are the mean flow charts for 7 to 10 days time. And they look pretty unsettled, really. This is the ECMWF. It does look quite unsettled. We have got some above average heights to our south, but the main driver really now in the 7 to 10 day time frame is this area of below average heights, low pressure up to the north of the UK. The black lines indicating the jet stream coming across the Atlantic and into Europe. So at the very least it looks changeable, and particularly in the north you'll expect some wet and windy weather at times, with the jet stream seemingly strengthening. And that's for GFS. Again, in the 7 to 10 day time frame, this looks quite unsettled, below average heights over to the northwest of the country. We have got some above average heights to the south, but it's moving in towards sort of eastern, southeastern parts of Europe. We're bringing the flow and the jet stream through the country like that. So again, been the idea at work within the model output for some time at the middle and into the second half of September, could be turning increasingly unsettled, and I think that idea is still very much there, certainly within the 7 to 10 day time frame. GFS ensembles are looking like this. So we're looking at Liverpool today. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Liverpool. So a bit up and down with the temperatures, really indicative of an unsettled pattern. A warmer sector coming through in the next few hours, and then a cooler sector just there. Goes quite warm a couple of days at the start of the coming week, but then from around Wednesday onwards through to the end of the week and next weekend, it's going quite cool. In the more extended range, again, a lot of scatter, hard to make much sense of it. We've got some very warm ensemble members up there. But we've got several really quite cool ensemble members down there. And again, as I explained in my video yesterday, we're going to be seeing fast, rapidly changing, alternating air masses. So many of these runs are producing both warmer days and cooler days at the same time, and differing on the times when those cooler and warmer sectors are coming through. So the upshot is you finish up with a lot of scatter, but essentially it looks like we are going to quite a changeable period with air masses reflecting some days still quite summery, some summer warmth, other days autumnal chill will be in evidence. And remember, this is for northwest England, so it's one of the wettest places in the country, but regular rainfall spikes really from beginning to end. Certainly for the north and the western part of the country, it looks like we are going into an unsettled phase. The south and southeast, there will continue to be a lot of dry weather in the next week to 10 days, but even there I would suspect some rain will get through at times in that sort of more extended range, so kind of like in the 10 to 14 day time frame, or let's say the 8 to 14 day time frame, week 2. I suspect even in the southeast we will get some of those bands of rain through at that point. Temperature anomalies from the 8th to the 16th of September look like that. Northern western parts of the country a little bit cooler than average. Down in the south, still just about a little bit warmer than average. It's not a big deviation. Most places coming out with close to average temperature anomalies. Precipitation anomalies look rather unsettled for the north and west, so western Scotland, much of Ireland, northwest England. Not surprising given that ensemble is just looking at for Liverpool. It's coming out a little bit wet and average. Eastern Scotland, a little bit drier than average there. And much of England and Wales still coming out drier than average. Very dry week from the 8th to the 16th down in the southeast, with barely any rainfall at all in the extreme southeast. So in the week ahead, the south and southeast is still hanging on to lots and lots of dry weather. Let's show you the midnight run of the GFS. This is all covered by the weekend forecast, of course, this early time frame stuff. So on Tuesday, we've got high pressure to our south with low pressure up to the north. We're bringing some very warm air into the south on Tuesday. So depends how much sunshine there is. I suspect there'll be a lot of cloud associated with this. But if the sun comes out, we might get the temperature to around 24 or 25 degrees, somewhere like central London. But in the north, it's actually a lot cooler there because we bring the air in from southern Greenland. As we go through to Wednesday, there's a weather system in that kind of position that's dividing those warm southerly winds in the south with that much cooler temperatures, but are coming in from the north and the west. By the time we get through to Thursday, we've dropped that cold front and cleared it away. The front is going to be in that sort of position. And we're reaching the high pressure back in, but it's within cooler air. So the second half of the week will turn cooler, even in the south, and there'll be some quite cold nights. Don't rule out some ground frost, actually, on Wednesday night and again on Thursday night. Into next weekend, it looks like it's gradually turning more unsettled in the north and west, although in the south, we're still just about holding on to that ridge. So whole dry weather continues to cling on by its fingertips in the south, but it does look rather buoyant, the Atlantic, to the north, to the west as well. And then we do go into a properly unsettled spell at day 10, which is Tuesday 18th of September. We are into a proper unsettled spell of weather. That's bringing wet weather even down into the south. That storm just there, that's some sort of hurricane or tropical storm type feature moving into the North Atlantic. Remember, this is a midnight run of the GFS, so this run took Florence into Eastern America. So that is not Florence, that is either going to be Helene or Isaac, I would have thought. Very difficult to say which one it will be. But anyway, that's some sort of tropical system that is heading into the North Atlantic. And that actually does start to come our way as we go through into the more extended range. There it is, just there. And we've got another tropical system there off Newfoundland as well. So the Atlantic in a very, very buoyant phase indeed. But actually in the really extended range with this GFS run, we do build in this high pressure. It does turn drier and warmer for a little while. 6 o'clock run of the GFS. I've got to show you that Meteo because it hasn't updated. at West Central. So we start again looking like this through the course of the coming week. The south just about holding on to that ridge, more unsettled up in the north. We head up towards day 10, looking like that, gradually turning more and more unsettled. Again, there's remnants of that tropical storm. Again, I think this is either going to be Helene or Isaac. Not sure which of those two that is, but it is the remains of a tropical storm, and that actually gets dragged towards us on this GFS run. So there we are on the 20th of September. We've gone beyond day 10, but we are moving. It's just as an area of low pressure, but that trough there, that is the remains of either tropical storm or Hurricane Helene or Isaac. Probably Helene, because I think Isaac is going to head into the Caribbean, actually. So that's more likely going to be the remains of Helene heading to us on this GFS run. Beyond that, we build the ridge in across the country. There's Florence, by the way, getting caught up in the jet stream just there. That's Florence there off Newfoundland as a very intense feature on September the 21st. Gets caught up in the jet stream, that low pressure, and heads up towards Greenland. And that promotes this ridge over the top of the UK up to Sunday 24th of September. Then we've got the ECMWS, that's all of the GFS stuff. ECM looks like that. On Wednesday, we've got this cold front moving southwards across the country, introducing that cooler, fresher air from the north and from the west into the latter part of the week. High pressure just about clinging on to the south, quite unsettled in the north. Next weekend and into the following week, again, rather unsettled in the north, high pressure never too far away from the south, and there's the remains. I think, again, that is going to be Helene. It might be Isaac, but I think that's Helene moving into the North Atlantic at day 10. At day 10, low pressure is still close to Scotland, bringing unsettled conditions through there, but we remain close to high pressure down in the south. And then finally, we've got the GEM, and it looks like this. I'll just quickly run you through this. So gradually turning more unsettled into next weekend. And we end up at day 10 looking rather wet and windy, actually, with low pressure out to the north and the west of the country. It all looks rather changed, but it's all very typical, really, of the time of the year. So after about a very prolonged spell of hot and dry weather that we had from sort of May through to July, things have got much more typical at the time of the year now, which is more changeable, but for the south, actually keeping a lot of dry weather going. In the north, it's more unsettled. Temperatures up and down, so some days quite warm still, other days very reflective of the fact that we're going into autumn. And all in all, just very, very typical for the time of year. The only thing to add is that with all of this going on in the tropics, with Helene and with Florence, and probably soon to be Isaac, we are going to be seeing a lot of uncertainty continuing within the model output. So although it appears we've got good agreement between the GFS, the ECM and the GEM for the next week to 10 days, expect the unexpected really at any point, because with these storms and hurricanes churning away in the Atlantic, we don't know if we're going to get more developing, of course, after these, and we may do. So with these storms and hurricanes churning away, does create an added layer of uncertainty within all of the model output, short and long range. Right, so that's brought you up to date with all of the developments. Tomorrow we've got the second winter 2018-19 update. Going to be your usual update, bringing you up to date with things like solar activity, the QBO, the quasi-biennial oscillation. We'll see what's happened with sea surface temperature anomalies in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans over the past week, since last week's first winter update. Will we have any snow appearing across Siberia? You'll find out tomorrow. And also within this video, we want to answer, because it's been a question we've been asked a lot over the past few months, whether hot summers, we have had a very hot summer of course, whether hot summers lead to cold or mild winters, and through analogues reanalysis we'll be attempting to answer that. So I think it's going to be a pretty good update. It will be released at 10 AM tomorrow morning, and hopefully I'll see you then. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.